So starting now, properties of solids, mechanical properties of solids, whatever, right? We'll simply name the chapter as solids. Next chapter will be fluids. So the name is mechanical properties. We'll skip that. Solids, fluids, nicely we call it. Okay. Now I have told you about stress and strain. If anybody can tell me what is stress, anybody can tell me what is elasticity, rigid body, elastic body, inelastic body. If anyone can tell me any of those things, I'll be very happy. Anyone?
Yeah.
Elasticity.
Sure.
Someone tell me what is elasticity? No.
Sir, elasticity I can tell, sir.
Tell. Rishit Rajgopal.
Okay. Yes, sir. How much of a force applied, or if you change the shape of the object, it to an extent it can come back to its original shape.
Correct. The property of a body to regain
Yeah.
the original shape after
Yes.
the removal of deforming force. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Elastic. Now, what is deforming
Elastic
force in the
body.
first place? What is deforming force? What does that mean? I have it on the screen. Oh my God. Now tell me. What is deforming force? First of all, what is force?
Mass into acceleration.
Somebody is giving me the equation F equals ma to a. No, I'm asking you, what is force? Like, what is it?
Force is applied to change the
Simple thing, ma. Simple thing. If I push you against a wall, what will you say?
Yes, sir. Pushing or pulling, sir.
That's all. A push
That's
or
all.
pull
Force.
is a force. Simple. Okay. If somebody asks you what is force, you say a push or pull is a force. As simple as that. Now,
Yes, sir.
the push or pull changes the shape of a body, deforms a body, then that force is known as deforming force. If the result of that force is change in shape of a body, then it is known as deforming force. Now, what do I mean? It's a very simple thing. Force which produces change in size and shape of body is called as deforming force. Same thing, right? So if you change the shape of a body because of a force, then that force is known as deforming force. And after the removal of that force, if the body regains the original shape, then that body is elastic. If not, it is inelastic. Correct. Now, there is a perfect limit for every body or everybody's elasticity. If you apply force, it will regain after removal. Apply a slightly amount of force, it will still regain the original shape. Slightly more, if you cross a certain limit, then the body will not be able to regain the original shape. Okay, that limit is known as elastic limit. It exists for everybody, and it depends on many things, which I'll tell you in a certain graph that will come. Right now, if a body does not regain the shape at all, and I mean at all, even after regain the shape, that is known as plasticity. Now you would have learned plastic. What does plastic mean? Plastic is like, sir, this is a material, plastic.
Sir,
Find anything? Yes.
this plasticity and inelasticity is same, sir.
Same, they are same. Okay. What you would have learned is plastic. Well, correct. This is a material, plastic. But I'm speaking of not the material, the physical property by the plasticity. All right. The property by the virtue of it does not take in the original shape. Simple. Inelastic or plastic. Inelastic or plastic. Same thing. So you can say elastic, plastic. If you don't remember plastic, elastic, inelastic. And the last one is rigid. Where do you have rigid body? You don't have it at all. Okay, it's not there. Leave. Rigid body. What is rigid body? How much ever force you apply, you cannot change the shape. Rigid body. Simple stuff, right? Now, elastic behavior. As to why do solids, and the chapter solids, why do solids show you elastic behavior? It's a simple question. Answer is not very simple. Okay, you can have a simple answer, but actually, if you dive deep, it is not very simple. Now, there is something known as bonds, chemical bonds. You have heard of it, right? Sir, chemical bonds. Okay, I know. Great. Chemical bonding means every atom will combine with some other atom. It might be one atom, two atom, three atoms, doesn't matter. It depends on the material, right? And we call them as compounds. And those compounds will usually for many of them. They have a particular shape. Now they will attain a particular shape because it is a tendency to do so. At that particular shape, they will have the lowest energy possible. This is with regards to chemistry. All right. So they will try to maintain that shape as long as possible. So if you pull or push, that means if you apply force, what happens is due to that force, the shape will change. And after you remove, they will try and come back to the original shape. That is the reason why elasticity exists in solids. Why? They tend to have a particular shape. That is why elasticity does not exist in kind of any other material. But you will see me saying elasticity exists for liquid also. You will hear me saying that. Okay. But however, if you apply a force, the bond length will change, the structure will change. And the solid is not stable there. It wants to come back to original structure. For it to happen, it will have an internal restoring force. It will apply that force, and until the applied force does not cross the restoring force, it is elastic. If your applied force, the deforming force, is if it overcomes or very high than the restoring force, then the body loses elasticity. Very simple stuff. Now, how do you say what restoring force is? It's like intermolecular force, as I told you, within a body due to relative molecular. Don't worry about all those things. Like, don't worry about molecular displacement, that and everything. Okay. If somebody has a restoring force, you just tell this. It is the force that exists in the body, which is responsible for restoring the body to the original shape and size. That is restoring force. As to why it exists, then another story. The one that I told you earlier. What did I tell you just now? I told you molecules which have atoms and they have a specific bond length, and all of those combined have a specific structure. They want to remain in the structure because they have the most stability and lowest energy. Now, because of that, if you change that shape, they will again come back to the original shape because it is a tendency and they want that shape. Like if you have a car, let's say, you are very good, you feel good with that car. I don't know why, you feel good. Okay. If I take away that car, you will somehow try and regain the same status by buying another car. Right? Correct. Similarly, these molecules, if you change the shape, if you take away the shape, they'll come back to the original shape. Oh my God, I'm getting phone calls. Okay. That is what gives them the property of elasticity. If you break those bonds, however, if you break that molecular configuration, if you break that pattern that they have, or we say that like what some particular shape they will have molecules. If you break it, if the force applied is too high, then they will not shape. That is when you have breached the elastic property of solids. We'll come to that part. We have a curve, a stress strain curve. It is somewhere here, here. We'll come to that part here. Okay, but not now. Not now. Now we'll define stress. Not me. You will define stress and strain because I've defined it once earlier. Somebody will define stress. Can somebody define stress for me? Very quickly. Define stress.
The restoring force per unit area is known as stress.
Of a deformed body or in an elastic body. All right. Restoring force per unit area of a deformed body. If there is no deformation, there is no stress. Right? If the body has not changed shape, there is no stress because there is no restoring force. Restoring force only exists if there is change in shape because it is restoring. It is a force which makes the material to come back to original shape. For it to come back, the shape has to be changed. Right? So you will say restoring force, internal restoring force per unit area of deformed body. Can you say another, or can you tell me another physical quantity which has the same unit? Stress. Another quantity.
Pressure.
Pressure. Right. So we have stress and pressure. What is the unit?
Newton meter square.
Newton meter square.
Oh. 1 minus does a lot of things. It is Newton per meter square. You have force divided by area, right?
Oh.
So it is Newton. 1 minus does a lot of things. It is Newton per meter square. It is not Newton meter square. Okay. Now, Don't make the mistake of saying Newton meter square. It is Newton per meter square. Followed by that, we have dimensions. M, L per minus D per minus. I just showed you how this occur, right? You take this, you write force as kg meter per second square, and this area meter square. Divide, you get this value. M, L per minus 1, T per minus 2. You should remember this. It is important. Now, as per the question, if it is a directional or does not have any direction, it doesn't have any direction quantities. Okay, it's a scalar one.
Sir, M, what is the power of M, sir? Is it only one or it's only one, right?
If I write x, it means x power 1. If I write m, it means m power 1. Okay. So if you want, I'll change it and give it to you. No issues. Don't confuse, that's all. Okay. Now, next types of stress. This is where we come across 3 types of stress, strain, and 3 types of elastic moduli. What I like to call it. Okay. Elastic moduli. Very important things. Now we will define 3 types of stress: longitudinal, tangential, or hydraulic, bulk or volume, whatever you might call. Okay. You'll call it as longitudinal stress or normal stress, whatever. Tangential or shear stress or shearing stress, whatever, same thing. Hydraulic or bulk or volume stress, same thing. There are 3 things. Now just understand these 2 are kind of one-dimensional. This is 3-dimensional. Kind of. Right. Now, if I take a very nice wire, okay, it's a bent wire. Oh my God, I'm very sorry. I have to erase this. Now I'll take a very nice wire. Okay, I have to take a nice wire. Wire. Okay, wire, kind of. If I apply a force, I'll write the force in red. Okay. If I apply a force that is perpendicular to the area of cross section, sir, I do not see any area. I will show you the area. The area is somewhat like this. Let's say this is the wire. Oh God, this is very bad. I don't know how to draw lines. How did I pass PUC? Okay, this is the area. Great. Now, this area, if I apply a force, this is perpendicular to area, deforming force. Then your restoring force is always equal and opposite to your deforming force, right? If your applied force is like this, restoring force is like this, then the body will change shape like this. That's not how it works. It is equal and opposite force. If the red one is your deforming force, then always you will say, sir, green for good. Okay, fine. Your restoring force is this way. Correct. And how do you define stress? Restoring force per unit area of a deformed body. So you do not define this, you define this. If
so they're nothing but opposite forces.
Yes, and we take the direction here. They are equal and opposite.
Okay.
Right? Now you will take the direction also. The direction of force is perpendicular to area of cross section. Now you'll say, what is area of cross section? So that I have a very simple example. You can see me, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Fine. See, I'll take this nice pen. Here, this is my length. Okay. And this is cylindrical, if I may. This is area. And we call this as area of cross section. What do we call this as? Area of cross section. Now, if I apply a force like this, let's say this is made of rubber. Okay, so that you can imagine this easily. If I apply a force like this, the applied force is like so, perpendicular to area. Area is like this, force is this way, perpendicular, right? What happens to the pen? It will decrease its length. Length is decreased. Now, after you remove this force, after remove it, there's a restoring force acting this way from inside, right? And even that force is perpendicular to the area. That restoring force, which is perpendicular to the area of cross section. If that is the case, then the stress is known as longitudinal stress. Now, stress is what? Force per unit area. But how is the force? Restoring force. It is perpendicular to area of cross section. If the restoring force is perpendicular to area of cross section, then the stress is known as longitudinal stress. Clear? Clear? 100% or any doubt?
Sir, once again, can you explain?
If I put a force, a deforming force, to change the shape of this thing, okay, I can do it in multiple ways. First way is like this. I'll press right here. This will, the size of this will decrease. Correct? If I press like this, the opposite force would be what? This one, like so. Correct? So this opposite force, which is perpendicular to the area of cross section. Now this is restoring force. If there is restoring force, there is stress. No restoring force, no stress. Now if I take this restoring force and divide this by area of cross section, force per unit area, what is it known as? Longitudinal. Because my restoring force is normal or perpendicular to area. If the restoring force inside a body is perpendicular to area of cross section, then the ratio of force per unit area is known as longitudinal stress. Comprende? And I mean clear. Arthavaite? Sound good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next one. I can also make one more kind of shape change here. How do I do it? I will not apply force like this. I'll apply it like this, like so. What happens then? What happens then? This will bend, right? There will be a bend, not like this, like this. Your pen will bend, like so. I know, like I cannot show it here because it's metallic. All right. If it was a rubber, I told you earlier. Imagine a rubber pen for no good reason. Or imagine a cheap plastic 1 rupee pen. Okay. Now you'll have it and you like push it tangentially. No question. What is a tangent? You'll say like, what's a tangent? And you'll see one more thing. So this is tangential stress. We don't have tangent. Okay, you have it. Okay, fine. What is a tangent? First things first. Tangent is a line. Let's say I'll draw a curve first. Okay. Curve. Okay, good curve. Now, if I want to define a tangent, I have to define a tangent at one point. A line which touches only one point on a curve is known as a tangent. Oh God. Very bad things are happening. Now my tangent would be in red. So like a line which touches, that's supposed to be a straight line, okay? A line which touches only one point on a curve is a tangent. Similarly, if your force is also along the area, right, which changes the shape like so. You can see this bending. Okay, I don't want to break this. Let's say this is the pen, okay? And if I apply a force like so, this is parallel to area, like this, along the area or along the surface, then if you remove the force, how is the restoring force? Like applied force, deforming like this, restoring force like this. Then
ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಮಾಡೋಳೆ ಈಗ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಯಾವಾಗ ಅಂತ
ಇಲ್ಲ ಯಾರು ಬರ್ಬೇಕು? ಯಾರು ಬರಕ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು? ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಬಿಟ್ಟ. ಚಾಚಾ ಇರ್ಲಿ. Where was I? I was about to give this definition, right? The force applied is tangential to the surface. Tangential. So to change the length. Okay, to change the length. Then stress is called longitudinal stress or normal stress. The restoring force, of course. If you change the length like this, even if you apply it like this, length will change, right? Length will change. It's not like it might elongate, but not like this. It go like this. If it goes like this, then the restoring force per unit area is known as the tangential stress. Force applied like this, perpendicular, restoring force is like this. All right, perpendicular. If the applied force is perpendicular, then the ratio of restoring force per unit area is longitudinal. If it is along the tangent to the surface, then restoring force per unit area is known as tangential stress or shear stress, whichever you may like. Shear stress, shearing stress, tangential stress, same thing. All right. We'll have one more thing. Now, if I apply a force which will change the entire volume itself, not just the entire volume. If your deforming force changes the entire volume of the surface, then, okay, once more, okay, once more, got it. Once more. I'll go to this once more after I finish this, okay? If the applied force changes length, like so, perpendicular force, then stress to strain ratio is known as longitudinal stress, okay? If the applied stress changes the length, if the force is tangential, like so, then the force per area is known as tangential stress. If the applied force changes the whole volume, then the ratio of force per unit area is known as what? Hydraulic stress. Change in length, applied force perpendicular, longitudinal stress. Okay, force by length, if change in length is happens by applied force that is tangential, like this, then the stress is known as tangential stress. If there is change in volume itself, the volume itself will change, then the stress that is inside the body is known as hydraulic stress. Three things. And you will notice the last one only in the case of liquids, majority. In case of liquids, these two will be for solids. These will be for like liquids also. It's a fluids. Now you say, "Sir, this is chapter solids. Why are we studying fluids?" I'll tell you. I tell this, but later. Right. So first two, longitudinal. Applied force like this, stresses longitudinal. Applied force like this, stresses tangential. Applied force everywhere, change the volume, then hydraulic stress. Any doubts here? You can unmute and ask. It is a good way because I cannot see your chat if I am sharing the screen like so. Any doubts?
Illa, sir.
Sure.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Kha guarantee.
Guarantee, sir.
No doubt, sir. Clear,
No
sir.
doubt, sir.
Okay. Now, sir, istu saldo. I will divide longitudinal into two more parts. Minimum. All right. I'll divide again this simple longitudinal stress into two parts. One is tensile stress, one is compression stress. Now this is like simple. If I pull this, it is tensile stress. If I push this, it is compression stress. Simple. If the applied force, where is it? If the applied force increases the length of the body, it's a pulling force. Then the restoring force is known as tensile stress. Okay. If the applied force compresses a body, the one that I just showed you, compresses the body, then our force is known as, or the stress is known as compression stress. Simple enough. Simple. So if you press a body lengthwise, the stress is known as compression stress. If you elongate a body, for example, you are pulling a rubber, okay, then the stress exists, that is known as tensile stress. Fair enough. Of course, the applied force has to be perpendicular, and perpendicular, I mean there are two directions, like this or like this. Okay, I mean both, right? If you are compressing it, the stress is known as compression stress. If you are elongating the body, then the stress is known as tensile stress. Just the direction of force. Simple. All right. Now we will move on to strain, which I told earlier. Okay, I don't know to show. Someone define strain, please. Not the person who defines stress. Someone else define strain. Okay, I'll ask. Don't. It is not a matter. I'll ask because you will not answer. Oh God, I have a chat and I cannot see the chat. What is it? I have no clue what's going on. Rishit, helapa.
Sir, it is the change in dimension to its original of the body to the
Ratio.
original
Ratio.
dimension.
Agree.
Yeah, the ratio of the change in dimension of the body to the original dimension. Yes.
Correct. Okay. It is the ratio of change in dimension to original dimension. So suppose the length has changed. Okay. And the ratio of change in length to original length. Suppose volume changes. Ratio of change in volume to original volume. If area, I don't get there. That is slightly different. Okay. That ratio is known as strain. I want someone else to tell me the dimension of strain. Unit and dimension of strain. Someone else. Not Rashid. Someone else.
Sir, it is
It is a
dimension
dimension
plus
is
quantity.
quantity.
Correct. It is a unitless, dimensionless quantity. All right. So your strain is a quantity which is unitless and dimensionless. Great. So it's the same thing. Change in dimension, original dimension, take the ratio. It's fine. Here also we'll have three things. Same three things. Longitudinal, longitudinal. Okay. Shear, shear. Volumetric or bulk, volumetric or bulk. Same three things. All right. Here you will take
Sir,
what?
it's the same
Yes.
thing, but then it is not stress, it is strain.
It is strain. It is the same thing. Okay, but you will not write. Okay, you'll write the same thing. No problem. Same thing. Not stress strain, but we are not in the same order. There's a small change in order, right? You see longitudinal first. The third one bulk strain next, and then shear strain later. That's the reason for this. Because these two are similar. This is not. The formula of these two are similar. This is not. This is the only thing which is like out of place, right? And I have to explain it to you via diagram, and I don't know how to diagram on this. How to write a diagram on this like stupid computer. Anyway, longitudinal strain. Simple thing. In case of dimension, you put length. Change in length to original length over the ratio of change in length to original length of a deformed body, of course, is known as longitudinal strain. Now, what do you assume volumetric strain is? In case of dimension, what will you have?
Delta V by
V by V.
V.
Change in volume to original volume. Right? This will be
Yes, sir.
change in volume to original volume. It is defined as the change
Volume,
in
yeah.
volume per unit to original volume, or the same thing. Is the ratio of change in volume to original volume. That is known as volumetric strain. However, shear strain is not exactly straightforward. Okay, we cannot say change in area to original area. That is not how it works. All right, you will say it is defined as the ratio of displacement of the surface on which stress acting to a height h to the surface. Now, like, oh my God, what is going on? That's what you will see. All right. Now, it is defined as tan theta equal to x by h. Okay, the formula for shear strain is tan theta equals x by h. Now, I have not given the formulas here, but I'll write the formulas right now. Okay, the formulas are like this. For longitudinal strain, for first one, strain equals, I'll just write 1 equals. Okay, is equal to delta L by L. Change in length to original length. For second one here, which is I'll write a better 2. For the second one, okay, it's nice too. Volumetric strain, you'll have delta V by V, change in volume to original volume. Great. For the third one, however, you will not write delta A by A. That is not how it works. You will actually write third one equals tan theta equals x by h. This is the formula. Now I will define this based on the formula. Okay, I'll define shearing strain based on formula because this is where most kids do the mistake. Right? You will write delta L by A, delta V by V. Here is delta A by A. No.
Sir,
Yes,
I didn't understand shear strain.
because I haven't told it to you yet. Yeah, I'll tell you what it is. Now you see the formula tan theta equals x by h. Okay, this is shear strain. Both are the formulas. You can write shear strain equals tan theta, shear strain equals x by h. Now what is x? What is h? What that does it mean? Simple question. Okay, and that's also kind of simple. I'll not say like it's very. It's all right. This is how you write it. It says the ratio of displacement is mute matter. With stress acting to height h on the surface. This is what I'll do. What I'll do is I'll write a nice diagram. I'll explain in the diagram. It's better. I'll write a cylinder. What will I do? I'll try to write a cylinder because I cannot write straight lines. I don't know. It's not easy. Another straight line, please, 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 please. Oh my God. Okay. Assume this is a cylinder. It doesn't look straight, but anyway. Okay. Now I'll draw the two surfaces. Now, for you to observe shear strain or shear stress for that matter, how do you expect the force to be? Tangential. How is it? Tangential, right? So this is the force applied, right? Applied force. Now, if that is the applied force, then how do you expect a change of shape? Increase in length, case 1, decrease in length, case 2, bend, case 3. What do you expect? What do you expect? Case 1, case 2, case 3.
Sir, bend.
Bend, it bends, right? So what happens is I'll just write the bent part in, let's say, not so red. Not so red. It's red, but not so red. Okay. So this is the bent part. Can you see the difference of color? Maybe. Maybe not. All right. This is how it kind of bends. If you apply such a force. Correct. Now you will say, sir, it bends like bends. Yeah, but I want an angle theta. For that to happen, I don't want a curve. So I'm just writing the, not skipping the curve part. Okay, I'll just write it straight like this. Okay, if that is the case, I can define an angle here by which this has bent. This angle is theta. All right. This tan theta is known as your shearing strain. But however, it is not very easy to define it using tan theta. You cannot put it in words. And I have a chat. Look at the chat and I'll be back. What is the chat? I have no clue. There is so much of disturbance or like unwanted sounds. Mute marker draw. I cannot come and mute you all. That will be rude. Okay? You mute yourself. That will be very good. Nice of your kids. All right. Now, moving on. I cannot define tan theta. Put it in words. Sir, tan theta shearing strain. No, I cannot. So now I will define tan theta. Can anyone define tan theta for me? Mathematically, define tan theta. Like I've written it here. I've written it here.
Opposite by adjacent.
Opposite by adjacent. Very good. Now, what I'll do, what I'll take is the length, my first phase.
Sir,
Right.
sine by cos, sir.
Same thing, opposite by adjacent. Okay. So I'll take this surface.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Just move to here. Okay. The displacement of the surface is this value. We'll take this as x. What is x? Displacement of the surface on which force has been applied. All right. I'll take the h as height of the body. What is opposite? X. What is adjacent? H. What is tan theta? Oh God, that is not theta. That's a very bad A. What is tan theta? X divided by H. This is my formula for shearing strain. Now I'll say if H equals 1. If H equals 1, I'll say this as the amount of displacement, that is observed in an object of unit height due to tangential is known as shearing strain. Can I tell it that way? Amount of displacement is x. Okay, that is being observed or that is being seen in an object where the force applied is tangential and height is equal to. Then I can say my value of shearing strain equals x. My h is there, but h is equal to 1. So my formula would be tan theta equals x by h, or you can define it in a manner that has been given here, which is like okayish. Okay, same thing. It is defined as ratio of displacement of surface x on which stress is acting to the height h of the surface. Make sense? X is what? Displacement of the surface on which force is being applied, the upper surface, divided by height of the body. Understood? Don't ever write delta A by A. Okay? If you write delta A by A, I'll come to your house and squeeze your ear. If you write delta A by A, I'll do this because this has been done by multiple kids and I've squeezed their ears. No, I'm joking. Anyway, what will I do? Nothing. What will you do? Not write delta A by A. You'll write tan equals x by h. So what is the formula for longitudinal strain then? First one, longitudinal strain. What's the formula?
Delta L by L.
Delta L by
L. Volumetric strain.
Delta V by
Delta
V.
V by V.
Shear strain.
Tan theta equals
Tan
X
theta equal to
by H.
X by H.
Tangential strain. ಎರಡು
Tan
ಒಂದೇ.
theta equals X by H.
ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದೇ. Okay, good. Tangential stress. So tangential strain, shear strain, same. Volumetric strain, bulk strain, same. Longitudinal strain and why do I forget it? And normal stress, normal strain, same. Okay, are we clear on this? 100%
Yes, sir.
sure.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
now we move on to a very important law. Okay, very to the power of infinity important. Hooke's law. You call it as what law? Hooke's law. Now Hooke's law is very, it says within the elastic limit, the ratio of stress and strain will be a constant, or you can say stress proportional to strain. That means as stress goes on increasing, strain also goes on increasing. If stress goes on decreasing, strain also goes on decreasing. Where? Within the elastic limit only. Okay, it says within the elastic limit, very important. You do not forget this part ever, because if I ask someone Hooke's law, they'll say such stress proportional to strain. What will I do? I'll come to your place, I'll snatch your ear, squeeze it. Okay, you say within the elastic limit. Now why is that? Because we want the body to have elastic property to be intact. Okay, if the elastic property of the body is not intact, then we cannot use elasticity and Hooke's law are like this. Hooke's law comes from elasticity only. If the body is not elastic, you cannot apply Hooke's law. It is not possible at all. So you say within elastic limit, stress is directly proportional to strain. Very simple. Higher the stress, higher the strain. Lower the stress, lower the strain. Now what do I mean by that? It is again simple. I have a chat. I'll just check the chat. I'll be back. Okay, that's a draft. Okay. And someone is typing. Oh, someone is sending me assignment. Okay, later. I'm in class, I'll not check it. Okay. Now, just imagine this. Imagine. Let us take the simplest stress and strain. You tell me one value of stress. Any one. Which one? 1, 2, 3. Which one will you take? First one, longitudinal. So your stress is longitudinal. Restoring force per unit area that is acting normal to the surface, right? Normal. This is longitudinal stress. Now, what is the strain in this case? It is delta L by L. Correct? Longitudinal strain. You should only take the respective stress and strain. You cannot take strain as volumetric and stress as longitudinal. No, you should take the same one. All right. So if I take higher amount of force, it means there's higher amount of displacement or change in length. Lower amount of force, lower displacement. Does it make sense? You apply more force, delta L is high. You apply less force, delta L is less. What is delta L? Change in length. I'll make this even easier for you. Okay. What I'll do is I'll just ask you a very simple question. Let us say I have a wire. What do I have? A wire. Okay. A wire that is perfectly elastic to whatever extent you pull it. It is not possible, but we will imagine. All right. Now I have a wire of 1 meter. What is the length? I'll assume. Oh God, Very bad wire. 1 second. Okay, nice wire. 1 meter. What's the length? Initial length. No stress here. Okay, 1 meter. Now, what I'll do is I will apply a force. What will I do? I'll apply a force such that for 1 Newton of force, my change in length is 0.1 meter. That means the wire becomes 0.9 meter. If I apply a force of 1 Newton, this is a very simple example. It doesn't really happen. It's imagination. Okay. If I apply a force of 1 Newton, what is change in length? 0.1 meter. It's the value 1 meter minus 0.9 meter. Initial length minus final length. What's the value? 0.1 meter. Now, similarly, if you imagine another force or higher force, 2 Newton, what could happen? Within elastic limit, of course, this would come to a length of 0.8. Right? In this case, what is the value of change in length? 0.1.
0.2.
In this case,
0.2.
0.2.
length is still same. Divided by 1. Length is still same. Original length. It will never vary. It's original length. Right? Now, this ratio is change in length by original length. This is also change in length by original length. Delta L by L. Delta L by L. Correct? Makes sense? Now, what is delta L by L?
Longitudinal strain.
So for 1 Newton, the value of strain is 0.1. For 2 Newton, value of strain is 0.2. So if you go on imagining, for 3 Newton, 0.3. For 4 Newton, 0.4. Of course, limit. We just assume this, okay? So as that is the case, we can directly say higher the force, higher the stress, lower the force, lower the stress. Strain. Right? Now this force accounts to stress. If 1 Newton is the force that is going inside, pressing it, 1 Newton will also oppose, restoring force. If 2 Newton deforms, then another 2 Newton here, what does it do? It repels that force. Right? This is what? Restoring force. Your area will not change. Always, restoring force per unit area is proportional to change in length to original length with the elastic limit. We call it as Hooke's law. What is it known as? Hooke's law. Higher the applied force, higher the change in length. Lower the applied force, lower the change in length or dimension, length, area, volume, whatever that might be. Okay. So we'll simply say within elastic limit, stress is directly proportional to strain. Completely understood or any doubts here? Any doubts? Yes, sir. No, sir. Something.
No, sir.
Can you explain
No,
again, sir?
sir.
Explain once again
Yes,
which part,
sir.
whole part.
No, sir.
Someone should explain once again. Whole part. Tell me, da. Full answer, la.
Yes, sir.
Who is that fellow who said yes, sir? Tell me your name. Man,
Sir, nange sir.
Ninge sana, okay. Liberal adrivaga. That was I can recognize. Anyhow, if I put more force on the body, change in length is more. If I put less force on the body, change in length is less. Agreed? Correct? One balloon tawali. ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಸಣ್ಣ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪನೇ ಸಣ್ಣ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮೇಕ್ ಸೆನ್ಸ್? ರೈಟ್?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No. The people who have not understood, those people. This makes sense, right? Condition. Balloon does not burst. Condition. All right. Now, I will take that force and I'll say that force is equal to restoring force. Applied force, restoring force, equal and opposite. Right. So if I put X amount of force, restoring force also X amount. If I put Y amount of force, restoring force also Y amount. So I can say restoring force proportional to change in dimension. Correct. What is my change in dimension? Some value. So higher the restoring force, higher the change in dimension. Change in dimension. Lower the restoring force, lower the change in dimension. Now I will divide force by area, and let me write it. I'll just say force proportional to change in area or change in volume or change in some dimension. Change in dimension, I'll say. Correct. Higher the force, higher the change. Lower the force, lower the change. Correct. Now what I'll do is my area a constant, original area? Is it a constant or is it not? Original area of the body, initially without force. Will it vary? If you see the
No,
balloon,
sir.
it will not vary, right? It will not go big, go small, go big, small. No, it's a balloon. It will remain as a balloon, right? So I'll divide this by area, which is a constant. And I'll divide this by original dimension, which might be length, volume, or anything. Now, what is this? F by A.
Stress.
Yes. What is change in dimension to origin? Okay, oh God. What is change in dimension to original dimension?
Strain.
Strain. Stress proportional to strain. Stokes law. So simple. Conditions apply. What is the condition? Within elastic limit. If you cross the elastic limit, stress is not proportional to strain. Okay? Only within elastic limit, stress is proportional to strain. That is all it is to write. Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Sir.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
what we'll take is, we'll again write a neat equation. We'll say stress proportional to strain. Do we like this symbol, proportionality? No.
No.
Why? We cannot calculate it. So what do? We'll take stress. We'll retain or change the symbol to equals K. K is some constant into strain. Okay. And I'll take this strain, put it here in the denominator. What happens? I'll have K, some value K equals stress divided by strain. Now, what is K? It's a constant value. Stress by strain is always a constant value. And I'll name this K as E. And I'll name this as modulus of elasticity. What is it? Modulus of elasticity. It is the ratio of stress to strain. Okay? What is it? Ratio of
Stress to strain.
That is a constant always. So you can also define Hooke's law as the ratio of stress to strain is always a constant within elastic limit. All right. Now we'll continue from this in the next class. All right. Because next class I have to show you stress strain curve, explain the salient features.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So next class. All right.
Okay, sir.
Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you,
sir.
sir.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Oh, bye, control. Bye.